Hey, how you doing? I got a little time to kill before I go to work, and so I had nothing better else to do, or nothing else better to, I don't know, I screwed that up. Anyway, the point is, I came across some little tidbits about Doctor Who. I know, what's the point? It was a great show. It isn't anymore. But nevertheless, I got a little time, so I thought, hey, let's talk about this stuff. Yeah. So here we are at Doctor Who TV with this little article here about Joe Martin, who is officially told our Doctor Who incarnation is the real first Doctor. Well, so that's too bad for William Hartnell. This is the mess that happens when you do these cheap things. Uh, then shoehorn in an element in the past in an attempt to rewrite a property that was never really your own. You know, a decades old property, and thought, hey, this will be an idea. Ever since Joe Martin's Fugitive Doctor was unveiled in Doctor Who back in 2020, fans have wondered exactly where Incarnation fits in with the other Doctors. Yeah, it's kind of important how this happened. Of course, the more obvious thing would have been that she's a future Doctor, which would have been the more decent thing to do, but all Chibnall and BBC cared about was exploiting her race. And that's it. That's all it was, just as you can get a headline. Chibnall casts the first black doctor, and that's what it was. She gets one episode, a cameo later, and now she's got some big finish audience, you know. That's it. Anyway, speaking about her role in the latest issue of Doctor Who magazine, Martin acknowledged the ambiguity surrounding her character's place in the show's mythology. I think a lot of fans are really hung up on that. Quite a few want to know, where in the canon do I come? They'll come and ask me on train journeys. I'm like, listen, you'll have to ask Mr. Chibnall because I didn't write this. Yeah, he didn't really think it through either, you know. Or did he? Martin's incarnation of the Doctor was, of course, first introduced, sorry, during Jodie Whittaker's era as part of the controversial Timeless Child storyline, which massively complicates the Time Lord's origins, to put it lightly. It destroys it. It's Last Jedi level devastation to the franchise. Some fans assumed that her character predated William Hartnell's Doctor, but former Doctor Who showrunner Chris Chibnall has remained deliberately vague about the details. Yeah, well, it doesn't really matter. Now the actress has shared a surprising revelation. She was originally briefed that she is the actual first incarnation of the Doctor. Step aside, William Hartnell. Martin said, all I know is that when I took the job and they were trying to explain my Doctor to me, I was told how it was going to work, that I was the first Doctor. So I was like, okay, yeah, look, there shouldn't be any grief against Joe Martin. She's a working actor. It was a job. She's again, it's like, hey, I didn't write this, and that's true. You know, uh, so I have no reason not to believe her. I'm sure that there was some thinking into this, especially for the goal that everything pre the new Doctor was all kinds of problematic, and they had to fix it. And so here you can't just, hey, you introduced Jodie Whittaker, you got your first female Doctor. Well, there you go. Oh, you can't stop there. So then you have to go around and find ways to erase what built the show. Yeah, the shoulders you stand on, as it were. So So that's the end of the mystery, or is it? Martin reflected on the opportunity to expand the character beyond her brief appearances on television and the latest audio dramas. It's lovely because we can dive in a bit deeper. On TV, she seemed very decisive, very strong. She's fearless and has no hesitation. Whereas in the Big Finish audios, because we've got more time, we see many sides of her. Fans will have to wait and see if the TV series ever returns to the Fugitive Doctor's story. Well, that's providing there is a TV series at this point. Unless you can find some sugar daddy elsewhere to keep it going. I don't know, but doesn't seem likely. But if Jo Martin is the real first Doctor, she is. And who knows what this means for the numbering? What numbering? You know, they all, oh, it doesn't matter. We can do whatever we want. Then it's like, what's the point of watching it? You know, as if it wasn't messy enough. Yeah, there's no way to make this work, or you know, at all. That being said, I was not a big fan of the Jodie era. I gave it a shot. I was not completely opposed to the idea the Doctor could regenerate into a woman and all that. And I thought there could have been all kinds of story possibilities for something of that nature. None of that was done. As for Jo Martin, she did pretty good in that episode, except I didn't like what was revealed, how it happened, and all this. And I knew it was nothing more than a tokenizing stunt. And that's all it ever was, and still is. You know, she gave a great performance. She was much better just in that brief moment than Jodie's performance was. And there were some elements there that says, wow, gee, I wonder what this and that and all that sort of thing. It just does not work. You know, the big discovery is leading you up, and good Lord, this woman's actually a Time Lord and all this. And then Jodie finds the TARDIS buried outside, you know, outside the... See, the lighthouse itself could have been this Time Lord's TARDIS, you know. But anyway, as he goes in there and finds it, and it's a police box. Now we're hearing the idea was, well, she's actually, you know, a pre-Hartnell Doctor. Had the name and everything, you know. And when the Timeless Child reveals, oh, good Lord, there's like thousands or maybe millions of doctors running around, you know. And all this nonsense that it did, it scatters it all over the place. And it's, see, giggle, tee-hee, and that's it. Yeah, if you're not going to take the property seriously, why should anyone else? But a police box. So the story, the series explains the police box in the first episode, you know. Well, I guess it would have been the second one. But nevertheless, it's like the Doctor's surprised that it's still a police box when they go back to the caveman days with, you know, Ian and Barbara. And there it is. And that's the indication of, well, it has this chameleon circuit, but it broke. And he just never could figure out how to fix it. He briefly did in Colin Baker's run, but, you know, I don't know, it broke again, whatever. But nevertheless, that's it. You know, he lands in 60s Britain, and it becomes this police box in a junkyard. Susan wants to go to school, so she does, and they just live there in the TARDIS, you know. And then in the, you know, Ian and Barbara show up and they take off accidentally, whatever. Or we're not accidentally. The Doctor says, oh, we got to leave and all that, whatever. But nevertheless, for whatever reason, it gets stuck in that shape. So I suppose, well, because it's been that shape before and it's used to it. And it's, you know, so the Doctor had his memory erased, so he doesn't remember he had already fled Gallifrey once as, you know, Jo Martin's Doctor. You know. It's just tossed aside. It's just lazy slap job work, and it's rather cruel to this, the way Martin is just used for this. And then this shoehorning around and stuff. The obvious and most decent thing to do, since you brought her in here, was for her to be a future Doctor. And probably should have already decided that this is going to be the next Doctor after Jodie. You know, and which I always thought would be an interesting thing. You know, it's a way more expanding than like the Watcher for Tom Baker's in, but you actually have this mysterious character show up and you don't know who they are or who she is, what he is, whatever, who you're going to cast. And then later on it's revealed, oh, this was the next Doctor, you know, that kind of thing. It's, you know, you got to figure out how to set it up and whatnot. It's a time travel show, you know, you can utilize that aspect once in a while, you know, and that would be a cool way to do it. You know, a little difficult of scheduling and whatnot, but you pre-plan it ahead of time before you shoot the episodes of your current Doctor's final run, and then there you go. So, oh well, and then the line, you know, he was the Doctor all along. Well, it makes more sense this time around. And all that, and that would be a cool, you know, a new way, a different bent on the old the Doctor's regenerating episode and that type of thing. They didn't do that, you know. They just, oh yeah, you're the first one. Here's some audio adventures, you know. And nothing against her doing audio adventures, but I mean, this is just rotten all around. And just lazy throwing this around and throwing that around. Look what I did. Aren't I great? And then that's it. With no real care for it at all. And just, how we'll make it up as we go along later or something. I don't care. Who knows? Yeah. Of course, what followed was, I don't know. Yeah, Russell T Davies' post midlife crisis meltdown, whatever this is now. I don't know, but it doesn't really matter anymore. But I just think it was. I think Joe Martin was done rotten by all of this. You know, it's too bad. It's because, I mean, she had more gravitas to the character, as brief as she was in it. She had a way better TARDIS control room. That was much nicer than what Jodie had. And so it just like, oh man, you know, if there's got to be female doctors, then go with Joe Martin on this, you know. But you see, you don't really care about any of these superficial issues. You just want the headlines about it, however brief that is, and feel like you're really a champion of virtue or some sort, when all you are is you're just into exploitation and a tokenizer. So it's sad what happened here. I mean, I see that Joe Martin was tokenized here for that and nothing else, and later used as a means by which to further damage the overall brand and its continuity in canon. It's the odd thing of saying it's now possibly, maybe, officially canon that she's the first Doctor. When the defense of this is that, you know, canon doesn't really matter. Well, then why bother with any of it at all? Well, what are you going to do? What's done is done. But then it can be undone, huh? Well, ironically enough, it appears time has long since run out for Doctor Who. Sad, but seems true.